have more than one friend who has left a tabletop campaign permanently over house rules that ruined the whole game for them. Game masters, if you don't want to risk driving your players away, this is something you really don't want to mess up. No game is perfect, and part of the fun of tabletop games is that we have the freedom to change the rules however we want to. When done right, house rules and homebrew content can allow us to build our perfect game. But when done wrong, they can do just the opposite. Changing or adding the wrong rules can piss off your players, make your job as a game master harder, and even break the game entirely. Let's talk about how to do house rules right. First, the elephant in the room. Yes, I changed my hair. It's been some version of green or blue for more than 7 years, and I'm gonna be real with you, it was a lot of work. This'll just be a lot easier. I hope you like it, but also, if you don't, it's not your hair. So anyway, before you even think about implementing a house rule, you have to ask yourself one incredibly important question. Why? What purpose does your house rule serve? If it doesn't solve a problem or make the game more fun, then why are you adding it? I know there are a lot of videos out there highlighting the 10 best house rules, or 3 house rules that fix D&D, or the most broken house rules, but I would suggest taking all of that with a hefty grain of salt. Lots of house rules are trendy online, but not every house rule is right for every table. Some house rules exist to solve problems that your table might not have. Another GM might introduce a house rule in order to nerf an ability that's being abused at their table, but your table might not be abusing that ability. Others were created to accomplish things that you might not want, like making combat more challenging or making gameplay more realistic. There are tables that love critical fumbles and tables that hate them. It's just a matter of preference. If I say, critical fumbles are so much fun, you should definitely add them as a house rule, you might listen to me and your table might end up miserable, even though my table really enjoys it. Hypothetically. I actually hate critical fumbles. If the things a house rule addresses aren't priorities for you, there's no need to complicate the game with unnecessary changes. If you're a beginner game master, I would strongly suggest that you err on the side of playing by the book until you get a feel for whatever game you're playing. I know how tempting it is to collect exciting sounding house rules online and try them out at your table, but until you know how the game plays as written, you can't really know what changes would improve it. Plus, and I speak from experience here, using house rules too early can bake misconceptions into your fundamental understanding of the rules. There are still a few basic mechanics that I have to look up to this day because I confused myself early on with house rules. Likewise, beginner GMs often don't have a complete enough understanding of the game to be able to identify which changes might have unwanted downstream effects. When I first started running D&D games, I really didn't understand action economy. If I had started house ruling actions and bonus actions and movement, I could have very easily gotten myself into hot water and given players way too much power before I understood what that would do to combat balance. Like everybody says, learn the rules before you break them. Now, let's say you're an experienced GM, you're confident that your house rules will be great for your specific game, and you're ready to put them into practice. Whoa, slow down, Speed Racer. Even the right house rules can be implemented the wrong way. More on that after this incredibly charming and funny ad break that I worked very hard on for you.
It had been a long day, and it was about to be an even longer night. I still hadn't done the prep I needed for my tabletop session. You could say I was behind the D8 on this one. I had one more lead. It wasn't much, but at least it was dry. I knew just the dame, Winona World Anvil.
World Anvil has all that you need. Game masters had better pay heed.
I had questions about how to organize my campaign, and I had a feeling she had the answers. If only I could get her alone.
Maps, timelines, and family trees. Support for stat blocks and character sheets.
I was desperate to learn more about all of World Anvil's features, but she was quieter than a rogue underpass without trace.
Use the basic features for free, or get 40% off with code Ginny.
As soon as she got off that stage, I'd have her singing like an axe-beak, that's for sure.
One of the biggest mistakes I see game masters make with house rules is going overboard. Dumping dozens of rule changes onto your players all at once can be really overwhelming. New players might get confused and struggle with identifying when they should and shouldn't trust the handbook. Too many house rules might prevent them from being able to make use of resources that might otherwise help them learn and understand the game. Even experienced players could have trouble remembering which house rules apply to your game when compared to other campaigns they've played in the past or are playing in now. I would strongly recommend introducing no more than 3 house rules at a time. If you want to bring more to the table eventually, that's fine, but at least give your players a handful of sessions to learn your house rules in practice. And give yourself some time to make sure that they're functioning the way you want them to before you pile more on top. My personal opinion is the fewer house rules, the better. If you find yourself wanting to change more than a handful of rules, you might instead consider looking for another game system that better suits your needs. Each game has different strengths and weaknesses. Instead of using a bunch of house rules to make D&D grittier and deadlier, you might just want to play Shadow of the Demon Lord. Instead of tying yourself in knots trying to simplify D&D combat, try playing Monster of the Week or Dungeon World. Even if you end up preferring the system you started with, playing a wide variety of games can teach you a lot about how different game mechanics affect the play experience, which is ultimately only going to help you make better house rule decisions. Tons of house rules are actually just mechanics stolen from other games that maybe did that thing better, but you can't steal from games you don't know. Okay, so you've picked the best house rules for your table, you've limited yourself to the most important ones, but there is one more mistake that could still absolutely destroy your game if you're not careful. And that is excluding your players from the conversation around house rules. When starting a new game, house rules should be part of your session 0. I would suggest pitching the house rules you're considering and maybe even asking players if they have any house rules they'd like to see used. There are 2 big reasons to discuss house rules up front. First, players need to be fully informed before gameplay starts. Let's say you have a house rule where instead of making death saves, any character who reaches 0 hit points dies instantly. Maybe you're running a gritty survivalist game and you want your players to be more cautious. That's all well and good and might work for some tables, but if your players are used to a system that includes death saves, they're going to be blindsided when their character goes down if that's their first time hearing about this. Second, there might be issues with your house rule that you couldn't anticipate. Maybe you want to implement a house rule that you used in your last campaign that makes short rests take longer. At your previous table, this rule worked really well, but this table has a warlock. A change like this would specifically disadvantage them because their class relies on having access to short rests. Running your house rule picks by your players gives them the opportunity to think about how that rule will affect their specific gameplay experience. They might have some concerns that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. And even if you end up having different stances, if your house rules are going to ruin the game for somebody, it's better if they know up front so they can step away before they get in too deep. Of course, you might want to introduce some house rules later in the game after session 0 is already long past, and that's fine, but you should still give players notice and the chance to provide feedback before you put something into practice. You definitely don't want to spring a new house rule on your players in the middle of a session. If one of your players chooses a certain class or a certain spell based on the rules as they understand them, and then you change those rules, it can feel a lot like getting the rug pulled out from under you. Make sure your players are okay with any new rules that you bring into play, and if it'll affect their character choices, consider giving them the option to make changes too. It's only fair. Unfortunately, tons of tabletop games end because the game masters and players just aren't communicating well, and sometimes they don't even realize it until it's too late. So how do you make sure everyone is on the same page so your game doesn't crash and burn? Watch this video next to learn how to prevent these kinds of problems before your game even starts. I feel like I have to present my hair in like its platonic ideal form so that people on the internet won't be mean to me.